All right, so pivoting over to the lightning lesson today. So everything about ABX. We call it ABX here at UserGems instead of ABM. Basically what this means is just account-based everything, not just account-based marketing. So we are really closely aligned here with our sales team. In terms of like what we are measured on, it is growth. So what we're doing here is we're using our target accounts picked directly with our sales teams, and then both reaching out with them with really personalized messaging from both teams. So our marketing teams do this in the form of LinkedIn ads and landing pages that are personalized based on persona or industry. So right now we're running some cybersec specific landing pages, which we're able to do with UserGems data. And then in terms of prospecting, this is where our ADR team is using that same hyper-personalized messaging to go after the same accounts and the same buyers together. So our own ABM or ABX framework looks in terms of like our process as the following. So align, orchestrate, and personalize. What we say here is both teams need to stay aligned. In the chat, we'd love to know if you've ever tried an account-based model or if you're trying one right now. A lot of what I hear from marketing leaders is that it ends up kind of falling a little bit short because the goals or the alignment between the sales and the marketing teams just don't add up. And it kind of ends up not being as successful if both teams are not on the same page. So at UserGems, marketing is measured by revenue. So we keep an eye on top of funnel metrics, things like open, click rates, traffic, response rate, engagement. But those are only to really inform us what campaigns are working so that we can optimize this top of funnel to get better results. But the ultimate metric for how we measure our account-based everything program is how many of these target accounts that we select turn into a meeting. In terms of orchestrating this, like I mentioned, we are very closely aligned with our sales team. And when we started our program, we decided we should run ads for 2 to 4 weeks to kind of like warm up these target accounts, and then sales would start prospecting into them. But what we noticed is that our booking rate actually went up significantly when our ad campaigns and our sales cadences or sequences were started on the same day and ran completely together. So just a piece of advice from us, if you haven't tried that before and you're still kind of warming up the target accounts and then having sales prospect, maybe try to do like an A/B test, start them both on the same day, and then see if the booking rates increase with that strategy. And then maybe you can move all of the target accounts to that strategy in the next quarter. In terms of personalization, this really does happen when accounts get the one-to-one treatment, things like those personalized landing pages. We do pick a subset of accounts to do this one-to-one personalization with. And we've seen that range from, like around, I think like 20 to 200. So maybe try it out for a little bit first with a small amount of accounts and see what the return rate is on that. And then you can always expand from there. So how are you going to use UserGems for your ABX program? So in terms of like how we use our own data, you get a lot of really personalized information when you get a UserGems contact or lead. So you always know, where your warmest prospects are using champion tracking, and then you're able to keep track of the activity within the accounts and rank them by priority and likeliness to convert. So we do these things based on the past relationship type and also their persona. So things like if you are a director plus and you just started a job recently and you have bought us before, that person is much more likely to convert than someone who maybe was an end user and still move into an end user role, but they are familiar with us, would be a little bit less likely to convert than that past buyer. So we have three ways that we have either tried in the past and have done and been successful with, or are doing currently, how we use UserGems to pick our target accounts. So the most popular one, and one that I've seen a few other customers do here, is using champions as some type of signal of intent. So what this means is a past buyer or a past champion joining a new company could mean that this account has higher priority to you, because there's people that are now joining that account that have bought, loved, used your product in the past, and could now start advocating for that product now internally. What we've started with is using the UserGems custom field that comes with our packages called UserGems. No, it's actually called UG number of UserGems. So basically what you can do here is create a report that says something like field UG number of UserGems is greater than 3, 5, however you want to define like how many people would need to be familiar with your product at an account to make it a little bit warmer. And then you can automatically start syncing that report into picking your target accounts for the next month or the next quarter, or however often that you pick those accounts. Another way to use something like this could also be to use the past relationship type. And what I mean by this is you can just use the number of UserGems, and that would be anyone who's been familiar with your product, whether that's a buyer or a user. But you could also then pair it down with the field UG past relationship type and say, if they were a past buyer, they're actually worth more than someone who is a past user. So you can do something like this with account scoring. If that's something that you're doing already, you can use the past relationship of these champions to score them and weigh them a little bit differently to see how many more buyers are at a specific account versus like a ton of users. The really great thing about a lot of users joining your account is because they can create some kind of groundswell from like the actual ground up, and then maybe start advocating to their directors for your tool. Something we worked on actually at an offsite we had last year was using UserGems for customer marketing. So what we had found out, our buyer persona is sales, marketing, and RevOps. And whenever we do ABM, we advertise and prospect into those three musketeers. But at the end of 2022, what we were starting to notice is that customer success was getting more interested in UserGems. So our customer success teams were saying, oh, I know that you use this for sales, but like we would also like to use UserGems to prevent churn or to drive expansion within our customer accounts. So what we had done is we used past champions joining our existing customer accounts, and then started some ABM ads for them, and also some SDR research outreach to these existing customers to say like, hey, you have UserGems, like let's also make sure that the CS team is using UserGems because your sales or marketing team has already bought this. So this is a really great way to drive expansion within accounts, especially if you have multiple products. But it also is a good way to multi-thread deeper into these accounts to hopefully prevent churn. If you're siloed into one department within your customer accounts, churn is super high profile these days. So getting into as many different departments as you can is super important. And this is a really great way that you can do that. And I'll show what actually we built on the next slide, just so you kind of have a little bit of a visual. But first I want to talk about the last one, which is prioritizing accounts based on the amount of new buyers that have joined it. So you can do this in a few different ways. Some examples here are the number of your key persona account contacts that have joined, or also just the number of newly joined executives. Both of these people will have budget because they're starting a new role and they're probably evaluating some form of tech stack. So you can use it in the same way of, let's say an account recently made their first security hire if you are in cybersec, or if the account recently has had, however many amount of key persona matching contacts. join. What I mean by persona matching contacts is your buyer profile. So like for ours, it would be marketing, sales, and RevOps. So if I see that there is a new CMO hire, you could then bump that account up higher on your priority account list or whatever your key account list is. So first, I will go through the ideas for prioritizing accounts based on the number of gems. So these are two of our ads here. Like I mentioned with that one-to-one personalization, it's a little bit hard to scale, or it can be a little bit intimidating to scale, but it's really worth it. We get really great responses on these personalized one-to-one ads. And what you could do here is when you're picking this subset of account to spend this much extra time and money on, you can do that and prioritize it based on the number of gems within that account. So again, if you have multiple users or multiple past buyers that have all joined one account, bump it to the top and start using like some one-to-one personalization. It's been really effective for us. And we do get a lot of compliments on it for our sales team when people do end up taking a demo with us. A lot of the times it's because they saw one of these types of ads. This is for the example of when we were trying to get some customer success leaders involved in their existing UserGems contracts. So this is me. I was very involved in this project, as you can see. But what we had done here was two things. We did video ads, and then we also did just regular in-feed ads. And the way we did this was position our product of why it would be helpful for a customer success rep. And then let them know in these ads that they're an existing customer. So if you were looking to do this as more like a multi-threading play, you could kind of use this same verbiage. If you're looking to do this as more of like a customer expansion play, you might want to say something like, however the new product is, or like existing product you have might not be as relevant if they're a customer, if you're trying to get them to buy another one. However, you can still use UserGems to pinpoint these people that have used your product or this other product that you're trying to expand with at their new company. So you could say something like, you've used product A at your last company. Your current company actually uses product B. Do you think that it would also be interesting to learn more about product A at this company since you liked it in the past? We've had some customers do this as well. It's been really successful so far. It's a really just like interesting riff on the customer marketing play if you have multiple products. Can't tell if there's something in the, okay. The last one here is using UserGems to build buyer committees. So you can do this with account tracking, or you can do this really like in whatever capacity you need, just to have more information. But basically what UserGems does here is automatically surface those persona matching contacts or your buyer committee in whatever target accounts that you have. So what this does here is it removes that manual process of reps needing to search for prospects within accounts. And it also alleviates marketing from having to build ad audiences in LinkedIn. And I can kind of go into that a little bit more in the next slide. And what we do here is we automatically then add these buyers to your target accounts within your CRM. So this way you're not relying on sales to prospect into these target accounts or key accounts each month and see who's moving around, see who's joining, make sure they're not missing anyone. UserGems can do it automatically for you using account tracking. And then one last thing here in terms of building buyer committees. This is also using account tracking of how we use it here. Basically what we're seeing here is you can set up these persona-based ads campaigns by selecting accounts and then doing filters in LinkedIn. So things like include marketing, include sales, include RevOps. But LinkedIn doesn't have inclusion and exclusion. So meaning it will start showing things like content marketing or product marketing, and those folks really aren't our main buyer. So with UserGems, you can actually exclude different titles as well. So you can say, give me everyone in marketing, but exclude anyone in content marketing and product marketing. And LinkedIn matching isn't that great. So you'll often find some people with interns or specialists who have had some type of like marketing roles in the past. But because LinkedIn doesn't necessarily optimize for conversion, it'll show your ads to those highest converting ones, and it just might not be the ones that you want. So we found really great results using our own product account tracking for this and for building these ad audiences on LinkedIn. And then the match rates are also, anywhere between 80 and 90%. Just to wrap this up here, before I do like a teaser of what's coming soon, what we're showing here is just like our entire workflow. So you can have any types of intent data that you have. So something like UserGems could be serving as intent data for you. If you use something like 6sense or demand base, these could be indicating what key accounts you want to go over either the next month or the next quarter, depending on what your selection of accounts look like. And then use UserGems to actually identify those buyer groups within those accounts. And then from there, we automatically push them into, in our case, Salesforce, in HubSpot, in a couple of different cases, especially if a marketing team is doing all of their account-based marketing out of a tool like Marketo or out of a tool like HubSpot. And then on two forks here, you'll see both sales and marketing going after the same accounts together, whether that's in a sequence or a cadence out of a tool like SalesLoft or Outreach. And then also with those in-feed LinkedIn ads or Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever other types of ads that you're currently seeing success with. My only suggestion would be to run those two campaigns at the same time. So again, sales and marketing are both reaching out to the same people at the same accounts at the same time. And then just one quick teaser in terms of coming soon, I showed that we automatically can surface all of your buyers within your target accounts, but we'll also be able to automate buyers into cadences and sequences with predetermined triggers. So something that you can do here is determine how many people you would want to be contacted at once within a company in order to not, start overwhelming the company with outreach. And you can also determine what messaging each persona should receive based on things like if they were recently promoted and their job titles. And then I see some questions coming through, so we can move to Q&A. How are you connecting intent data platforms with UserGems? The way that we recommend doing this is syncing this with your CRM. So it would connect directly with Salesforce, and then you can use those accounts for account tracking in UserGems. So you can say something like a 6sense surfaced account, add it to a report, and then UserGems can read off of that report, and then we can enrich the buyer committee from there. For Slack notifications, will lead or contact owners use 10 separate Slack alerts? Yes. So with our Slack notifications currently, they are not summaries, they are individual Slack alerts. We do have summary emails that go out on Mondays. So if you don't want the team to receive individual Slacks because you're afraid it might be a little bit overwhelming, we can always do the summaries. However, what I always recommend with the Slack notifications is actually not alerting for everyone. So how we do this here is we have a specific subset of job changes that will get surfaced via Slack notification. These must go to a target account and they must be persona matching. Those will go directly to the rep because those are super high priority. Whereas the rest of them will then just be surfaced normally within our the email summaries that I had mentioned, or they get automatically added to an outreach sequence in our case. Yeah, Jody, I would reach out to your customer success manager. If you do not know who that is, you can reach out to me. I'm just Justine at UserGems, and then I can connect you with them. And yeah, Julie, if you need any ideas about the Slack notifications, you can also reach out to me. When we were beta testing them internally, we had tried like a couple different cohorts of people to alert from Slack. And we did get some feedback from the sales teams in terms of like what was useful and what wasn't. So happy to also do like a one-off chat about what Slack alerts might be useful for your team too. Any other questions? And then also in the chat here, we have any suggestions for future Dig Deeper sessions. So in December, we've already released it. December is going to be how to set yourself up for success in 2024. I also think we are going to talk a little bit about the Gmail mass emailing message that I think we all received this week in terms of limitations with sending emails. And email capacities and spam. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about how UserGems can kind of help alleviate some of that stress. But would love any other ideas. If you have them, drop them in the chat. Otherwise, you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn with any ideas of what you want to see in 2024. Amber, I'm missing any questions in here just because I'm now only on the poll. Oh, wait, maybe. No, yeah, okay.
Sorry about that. No, you're all good.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. If you have any questions or want to talk about some one-off situations, please reach out to me. I'm always happy to dig into your instance and give some feedback and recommendations.
Yeah, and if you have any additional ideas, you can also email Justine.
Yeah, please email me with additional ideas. Nothing's too crazy.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
Bye, everyone.